Welcome back to Math with Mr. Dorica. Today we are talking about factoring, one of the most challenging concepts from Algebra 1, and we are talking about factor by grouping today. So, our goal is to split this trinomial into pairs of factors that would give you solutions to this function. So, the first thing we need to do is label each of our numbers for our trinomial, right? So we got our x squared term, and the number in front of that is going to be our a. So I'm going to write a is equal to 3. The number in front of our x is going to be our b term, so our b is going to be negative 10. And our c is going to be our constant, which is going to be this 8 right here. So my a is 3, my b is negative 10, and my c is 8. So the first thing we need to do is we need to find numbers that multiply to a times c and add up to b. So I'm going to draw the same cross right over here. And in the top, I'm going to put a times c, so 3 times 8, which is going to give us 24. And then in the bottom, I'm going to put that b, which is our negative 10. So negative 10 is going right down here. Now, two numbers that add up to negative 10 and multiply to positive 24 are going to be negative 6 and negative 4. When you add those two together, you get negative 10, and when you multiply them, you get 24. Now, the purpose of this is to take this negative 10x and split it up. We are breaking it up into negative 6x and negative 4x, and it does not matter which order you do this. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite this. I'm going to leave my 3x squared right here. I now have negative 6x. I have negative 4x. And I have my positive 8 still. Now, we have 4 terms, 2 groups of 2, all right? So, within each group, I need to find the greatest common factor, the greatest thing that we can divide those terms by. So, let's take a look at this first one, right? We have 3x squared minus 6x. Now, if there is an x that is a part of it, for both terms, we can pull it out. So, I'm going to start rewriting this. We know that we can pull out an x from each of those terms. Now, we need to find a number that both of those are divisible by, if we can. And in this case, we can. Both are divisible by 3. So I'm going to divide each of these terms by 3x, which essentially means I am pulling it out from them. When I divide 3x squared by 3x, all we are left with is an x. When I divide negative 6x by 3x, I am left with a negative 2. Now, as we move our way over here, our goal is to have this left on the other pair as well. So we can look at this here, and we can say that our greatest common factor would actually be negative 4. We want to pull that negative sign out, because otherwise we would be left with negative x plus 2, which would be a little bit awkward to work with, right? So we can divide both of those by negative 4, and your key to know if you need to divide by a negative or pull out a negative is if the first term, that leading term, is negative, okay? So when I divide both of these by negative 4, which means I'm pulling it out, I am left with x minus 2. And would you look at that? It's almost like magic. We have the same thing here. So the greatest common factor between this term and that term is x minus 2. And we can do the exact same thing we just did, and we can pull out an x minus 2. And all that's left is this 3x minus 4. And that trinomial is completely factored. It was that easy. See you next time.